Shalom, beloved family. It's your girl Sophia Spiritualite, and it has been a while since I have made a research video, and this is a very important one um, from a feeling that I got, and someone actually said it in the last daily prayer live stream that we had with Brother Levi that we needed to start another fast, and I had already determined I was going to start another fast, but I wanted to take the time. Look at this. Wow. Okay. I wanted to take the time to pick the proper day to start so that it would be the most effective. And I didn't want it to be random like last time we just managed to pick a time to start our fast that never happened ever in the history of the planet. I wanted to be more thorough with determining which day to start. So I began by looking at what important days were coming up. So, first and foremost, all praise, glory, and honor goes to the Most High, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the great I am, loving kindness, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We ask for permission to speak with the angels for just a few moments so that we can get a message that will allow us to be of greater service to you and to the kingdom. We acknowledge and thank the Holy Mother for everything that she does. We acknowledge our older, wiser brother Yahushai and the perfect example that he set. And of course, to the angels, all of the ones that are available to us right now, we ask that you come and be with us and allow us to understand even clearer what this 22-day fast is going to mean. And the reason why it's just stopped in my tracks is that immediately I just made this little, intro thing right here, but I didn't even realize it's October the 22nd, 2022. So it is a 22-day fast starting on October 22nd, 2022. That is a large number of 22s. Um, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 12, um, if you count all the twos separately, 22, 2, 2, October 22nd, 2, 2, and the other two twos, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. All right. So we already know what time it is. This has nothing to do with me. This is just I'm just presenting the message. So all right. So here we go. First of all, we have on October the 22nd, Saturn goes direct in Aquarius. So, this is what they say about this. Moving forward, it's time to take all the lessons we've learned while Saturn was in retrograde and use them to restructure our lives in unique ways. So, Saturn has been in retrograde for quite a while. I think it's a 5-month retrograde, um, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me just look that up real quick. I'm pretty sure it's a 5-month retrograde. I want to make sure I have that right. Just looking for my notes because I actually recently looked this up and of course I don't see it even though I remember. Um, no, I'm pretty sure it's a 5-month retrograde. Let's just double check and you guys can listen to my go-go while I double check this. All right. Yep, it's 4 to 5 months. About every 12 months, it goes into retrograde for 4 to 5 months. Here we go. I knew I had this somewhere. Okay, and now I have it. Yeah, Saturn is in retrograde for 4.5 months, basically. All right, so for the last 4.5 months, which would basically be June, July, August, September. So everything that we have learned since our core cleanse, just before our core cleanse. Actually, I started a fast 40 days before the core cleanse. So for me, it would be from when I started that fast. But basically, since our core cleanse until October the 22nd, it's time to take all the lessons we've learned while Saturn was in retrograde and use them to restructure our lives in unique ways. And so, um, to me, that was the greatest indicator that it would be a pretty good idea to attempt to support our all of our hard work of the last 4 months or so, and really reinforce that the progress that we've made. And one thing I see clearly from our 40-day fast that we just completed is that fasting really reinforces your faith, for lack of a better way to describe it. It really brings about um like a clarification, but it really like cements it into your subconscious. So that being said, I wanted to, me personally, wanted to submit all of my hard work into who I am. I don't want it to be lost or confused or whatever when all the planets start to go direct. And then right after, I think it's the day after Saturn goes direct, there's a eclipse on October the 23rd. So, um, that's a lot of energy that's going to be coming in, and already being in a position of fasting is going to make us the perfect vessels for that energy to flow somewhere. Um and so um let's so this is from that book that I presented, the Book of Magical Invocations by Bardon. And of course, I've already found some things that he describes funny, but I want to read this information about the Saturn sphere. So, all right, it says the next sphere next to mention is the Saturn sphere. Like the Mars sphere, this sphere is very hard to contact, and only a well-trained sphere magician should dare to embark upon it after having gone through different initiating systems with a few original intelligence, and after having gathered much experience during the course of many years mental wanderings to the individual spheres, and thus feeling almost at home in them. And basically, that's what we've done in the last 4.5 months. We've knowingly or unknowingly been wandering the mental spheres, because as you get to know the names of the angels, you you basically end up in their spheres. And so maybe everyone hasn't been as hasn't done as much mental wandering as myself. I think that because someone has done it, is that has been activated in our ley line, in our internet ley line. And one thing I do know for sure is when something is activated in the internet ley line, it resonates. And even if everyone doesn't do it, that energy resonates to everyone, the parts of the whole. Um, and so I think that we're all qualified to visit the Saturn sphere. And if you again look at this book and read his descriptions, you will see that you have very much experience in a great deal of these spheres, just based on what those angels do in those specific spheres. And don't take it, don't take my word for it. Read the book for yourself. If you go to my website, I have all of I have my all of the separate documents, and I think I uploaded the whole book too. Or of course, just send me an email, and I'll share the link with you to all the documents. Okay, so I said all that to say is you are qualified as a follower of mine, as a member of the Spiritual Light Nation, with no beginning and no end, to visit the Saturn Seer. So just ignore what this jerk says, okay? Not every human being is strong enough to stand up against the oscillations of the Saturn sphere, since they have the depressing quality of a nightmare. And pause right there. If you think not having lived through this last 4 months has basically been just short of a nightmare, then you would be correct. And so therefore you are uniquely qualified especially what we went through the last 3 days of the fast. You are uniquely qualified to traverse this sphere, okay? The Saturn sphere is, in fact, so called sphere of karma. Now, let me pause right there. So, if you are again a follower of mine, you know or you have heard that the the goddesses of karma actually come from Venus. And so this being the sphere of karma, I think this is the sphere of where maybe the karmic law comes from, where it originates, but not necessarily the sphere of where karma is judged or cleared. I think those would happen in two different spheres just due to the nature of what that means. So essentially, what it feels like to me is that when you do a karma cleanse, that you can find like in my Ravdamancy 101 class, when you do a karma cleanse, you cut yourself from experiencing depression, the depression that originates from the sphere of karma, and you make yourself um you basically just clear that out so that you don't have that energy pumping into you anymore. You're replacing it. You're detaching from that sphere of of Saturn, the sphere of karma, and attaching yourself to the sphere of love, which is Venus. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Its intelligences may be regarded from man's rational point of view, the judges of all beings. So the dark judge, I'm assuming, probably comes from this particular sphere. The judges of all beings, planets, and spheres. Because see, when you do a karma cleanse, they don't judge you. They're not the beings from Venus. They do not judge you. They love you. They love your karma away with their awesome power of love. So if you and again, if you don't clear your karma, you are going to have to you live to regret it. I hate to say this phrase, it's becoming my new favorite phrase, but you truly live to regret it. But if you do not clear your karma and heal your karma, not just for yourself but for um your entire bloodline. Okay, so anyway, from the magical Kabbalistic point of view, direct contact with any of these judges has no practical value. Maybe for him, for us, it has a tremendous practical value. Again, if we are going to request the dark judge to come in and make this judgment upon this land, that's exactly who we need to talk to. So, moving on. If, however, the magician considers himself mature enough and well acquainted with the spheres, he might as well try to get in contact with the intelligences of the Saturn sphere. I detest, however, giving any description of the individual intelligences of the Saturn sphere, even from mentioning their names and their seals. For it could so happen that some presumptuous human being, without thinking of the consequences, would dare to call up such a Saturn being by evocation. If the person, in such a case, not strong enough to resist the vibration of that Saturn intelligence, not only his physical, but also his astral death becomes unavoidable. Okay, fear mongering. Therefore, a general description of this fear will suffice for the mature and wise, and such will, in spite of such a short description, be able to get a clear picture of the effectiveness of the Saturn sphere. What he is saying here is that these people will judge. They will judge, jury, executioner. That's what he's saying. And the reason why he doesn't give the beings names is because he did not want to be responsible for anybody going to that sphere and causing judgment to be taken out on our people, and then he would have to live with that, and therefore he just doesn't go there, which in his defense is probably the best thing, because these Gentiles surely would have taken this information, gone to that sphere, and demanded that we original beings be destroyed, and that would have been the end of this galaxy, basically, because we are very much the center of the galaxy. So again, that is fear mongering for Gentiles, but for us, it's really accurate. He really wanted to scare them, and I think that that paragraph would have been enough. So the few Saturn intelligences that have been mentioned, known books written by authors such as Agrippa, Corinth, and others, are not the highest intelligences of the sphere and have, in general, only a subordinated range of competence when compared to the genuine original intelligences of the Saturn sphere. 49 in number. 9 and 4 is what? 13. You already know what to do. The already known intelligence is named Agiel. I won't say the names. Let me just okay, but Uriel is one of the beings from Saturn, so that's interesting. Have therefore not much importance in the Saturn sphere and are by no means original intelligences. That's interesting, you guys. However, they show a certain affection for the zone girding Earth, are friendlier with the magician, and therefore also easier to get in contact with. What these intelligences can offer the magician in respect of magic and Kabbalah, the latter is sure to get to know much more from the intelligences of any other planet sphere. I am talking in this respect from the point of view of my personal experience, and every magician is able to find out the truth of these words for himself. What, for instance, Arathon can offer the magician, each of the 360 heads of the zone girding Earth can also do, with the magician having to travel to the without the magician having to travel to the Saturn sphere. The same is true of Agiel and the so-called intelligence of the Saturn sphere mentioned in the common grimoires. During wanderings in my mental body through the Saturn sphere a long time ago. Now, I don't think he ever did this. I think he's just quoting the books that he read, right? The ones that they let him interpret from English into German, reinterpreted back into English. Anyway, I personally came across Agiel and Arathon and conversed with them, so I'm recording here personal experience. Let's listen to this. As far as the 49 original intelligence of the Saturn sphere are concerned, it should be mentioned that they are responsible for the original karmic principle of all spheres, especially for the doings and effectiveness of all negative beings of each sphere. What does that mean? What is the negative beings of each sphere? That would be the infernal spirits, the demons. They're responsible. The beings of Saturn are responsible for the demons. Just marinate on that for a few seconds. We're going to come back to that. Beginning with our physical world, especially the ones who are here on our physical plane. In accordance with divine providence, they allow for the bad effects of negative beings. They allow for the bad effects of negative beings, the demons. They are in charge of the powers and the effects of the principle of destruction in the whole cosmic hierarchy. Okay, pause. The angels in Saturn are responsible for all karma that is dealt on this planet. Not just in this planet, in this entire galaxy. Now, so what well let's keep going and I'll get to my commentary. They see that justice is done, and depending on the approval of divine providence, let negative effects become reality by their subordinate beings, by the demons. The Saturn intelligences allow wars not only on our planet, but wherever love and hate exist. They let negative principle work up to a certain point, and they are the ones that have to judge rigorously upon human beings and all beings of all spheres in accordance with divine orderliness and legality. Pause. Right there. This is why we have to do this fast. Because the divine justice only has begun. We want to show these beings that we are serious about ruling in righteousness. And the way to do that would be through prayer and supplication, especially the Daniel fast, which we are going to talk about some more in a few seconds and why. But basically, this is what the Saturn spheres do. Okay, therefore, the Saturn intelligences are regarded as the so called judges and executors of fate. The judges and executors of fate in the world's highest sense. Moreover, they decide upon how long magicians who have concluded a pact with beings, negative or positive, have to remain under the power of relevant beings. Okay, pause. So the angels over Saturn decide how long you have to remain in a pact with the other beings. So again, let's this I'm just going to do a brief pause and make sure everyone understands what this is saying or understand what this means for us. In the last 4 months, we have learned a lot about the angelic realm. We have gained a great deal of information. And we have also determined that it is time for our Jubilee. We are done with our 400 years. It is over. However, when deciding when it's really over is up to the beings of the Saturn sphere. And what would influence their decision to force us to endure more suffering, basically? What would influence that? Two sides of that would be the infernal spirits say, we haven't suffered enough, or the inorganic beings, the Gentiles, saying, no, 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 no. Those people, they haven't suffered enough. They need more suffering because that's what they deserve. On one side, and then you have another side saying, no, 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 no. We have been begging and requesting for this burden to be removed from us, and we promise, with all humility and all humbleness, to serve with righteousness the Most High and do His will according to what He says. And the decision maker in this process are the beings from Saturn. So just contemplate the enormity of this situation and the opportunity we have, because see, the thing about retrograde, remember, it goes backwards before it goes forwards. It feels like you're going backwards or standing still, which is even worse, and then it goes direct and you start moving forward again. So if it seems like there's been maybe a lull almost in activity, things going poorly for the Gentiles, whatever the case may be, um, this could be the beings from Saturn reviewing our case. I mean, we've filed a case, we've made our petition, and this is what we have decided. That we want our jubilee. We're going to take our jubilee, and we have determined that we are willing to rule in righteousness, and we're able to do so because we have a understanding and a respect for the angelic kingdom. However, there are many of us, much like the ones who I dealt with over this week, who do not have any respect for the angelic hierarchy, who do not have any respect for the Most High, to be honest, by forcing the Most High to stop everything that He's doing to address them. And that is the problem. That is what caused us to fall in the first place. The lack of knowledge that caused us to fall is the lack of knowledge of the angels. And our decision to use and abuse the Most High as our errand boy instead of following the proper protocol, of how the angelic realms work. And specifically think about how there's a scripture that comes to mind, but just in general, on earth as it is in heaven. Or there's another one, I can't think of it. Hopefully it'll come back up. But so you can see that these particular beings, if we wanted to make a request to the Most High for the Gentiles to enter into their season of the time when they have to suffer, these would be the beings we requested it to. I mean, we did our fast to take, to take back the kingdom, and in which we were promised the kingdom. But if we want to um take the next step of that, of actually um what is it called, moving into that kingdom and expelling the evil former tenants, then we need the beings of Saturn to come down with that karmic justice and determine that we have indeed learned our lesson. And even if it's just a few of us, again, we resonate so strongly throughout the internet ley line that even if it's just a few people who do this with me, we will make a significant difference. And that whole 22-day thing is not to be played with. This is a very, very serious thing that I didn't even realize until I started this video. So let's continue on. We're on this next paragraph. Each original intelligence of the Saturn sphere has a certain range of power. They each have a certain planet and a certain sphere under their command. If the sphere magician is interested in learning about the range of effectiveness of any one original intel initiator of the Saturn sphere about his influence and subordinated planet, he can get the exact information from a subordinated intelligence like Iguel or Atheron. From what has been said here, the magician will gather that he need not actually avoid the Saturn sphere, but he will less care to contact its 4913 basically original intelligences. It is not a pleasure to see the doings of negative beings or to watch mentally how they are controlled and punished. One needs strong nerves and a strong mental steadfastness to do that. So much about the Saturn sphere. The seals of AGL, Anthron, and other inferior intelligences of the Saturn sphere are generally known. Every magician will take heed not to reveal the names and seals of the original 49 intelligences of this sphere to any immature person and will fully understand why I desist from giving details. Again, he knew that the Gentiles would take this information and use it to punish our people, and they would destroy the planet, much like what happened with Aaron when those sorcerers shook his hand with the right hand instead of the left hand, and they basically almost ended the whole earth, the whole solar system at that point. And if Aaron didn't know how to prepare that altar and put the incenses on to calm the Most High's wrath, they would have destroyed the whole literal universe. And that anybody who understands that story, again, brother Dear Bay did a great video on that, which is where I got that information. This is what the beings of the Saturn sphere can do, and when you evoke them, this is what can happen. You can destroy everything because there's a law of cause and effect. And since anyway, long story short, we want to get into all of that. So then of course it goes to talk about Uranus and Pluto, which he doesn't give very much information about that either. Okay, so now the next part of this is that Saturn is going direct in Aquarius. So I thought it would be good to look at what the Aquarius um, solar system or a constellation that resides on Jupiter, what he is responsible for, or she, or they. All right. So this is Cambiel. Of course, remember now, this man is extremely disrespectful because all of these names are names of the Most High, and he does not have them in capital letters, which is why on my documents, I go back and I capitalize all of them. I don't mess around because literally they need to be all capitals, and this man is extremely disrespectful when addressing the Most High by not addressing him in the proper way. So I won't talk about that too much more, but to say all of these names are supposed to be in capital. So, the original principle of crystallization, condensation, and hardening in the whole cosmic hierarchy, in our whole universe, is controlled by the 11th, hello, anybody, original genus of the Jupiter sphere. Moreover, okay, so just bear with me 1 second before I can even go on. You have Saturn going direct into the 11th constellation on the 22nd day of the 22nd year. Anybody getting a sense of how valuable this may be for us? All right, so let me continue on. It's moreover, this genius is also responsible for the regular cycle of all planets, and therefore also the gravitation, the force of gravity, the power of attraction itself. The magician can be informed by Cambiel about all the secrets of crystallization, not only on our planet but also on the other ones. This means that the from the magic kabbalistic point of view, that the magician will be taught to change by alchemy, magic, and the Kabbalah, the principle of solidification through thought, diminished or enlarged vibration, depending on the qualities of substance, so that he is finally able to change, if he wishes, a gravel stone into a diamond, or vice versa, a diamond into a gravel stone, thus making use of the knowledge acquired from Cambiel. Furthermore, the magician is instructed by this original genius in the laws of alchemy in its most subtle form, especially with regards to the so called dry process. He also informs of the practical application of gravitation from the magical Kabbalic point of view. If a sphere magician also wishes, he can make the biggest pieces of rock as light as a feather, and he is able to make things light things so heavy that no force on earth is able to lift them. This means that this original genius can easily explain to the magician any problem of levitation, that he knows many various methods by which the magician can acquire these faculties, and he will be pleased to inform the sphere magician about them. Okay, so let's relate this back to what the beings of Saturn do. So the beings of Saturn, they are the laws of karma. They are the actual judge of karma. In Venus they clear karma, in Saturn they judge karma. And so the judges of karma are going to be direct in Aquarius, where things crystallize. Therefore, all of the work that we've done in the last 4.5 months will be crystallized once these beings go into Aquarius. Right now, it appears as if nothing has happened, almost as if we're going backwards, whatever the case may be. That's what retrograde is. But when things go direct, when Saturn goes direct, this being will in fact bring about the crystallization of what has been done. And so, in my opinion, in my observation, from what I'm being told, um, it would be in our best benefit. And it's going to be in my best benefit because I'm going to do it. And this is just it. It's going to be in our best benefit, but it would be in our best benefit as a nation, as a group of people, as my followers or whoever, to do a fast so that the crystallization of our accomplishments of the last 4 months are held in place, and that the Gentiles are not able to, through their own petitioning of the Saturn sphere, f- able to force us back into bondage, because essentially that's what they're trying to do. And if you look at the spiritual perspective, from the spiritual perspective, what they're actually trying, they want things to go back to normal. They have said things are going to go back to normal. They have acted like things are going back to normal. They have acted like there's nothing going on right now, nothing wrong, everything's just fine. And therefore, that tells me that they intend to use this energy to go back to normal. And they're going to try to convince the beings of Saturn that we should go back to the way things were, that we don't deserve to move forward, that look at all our infighting and bickering. Look at the people who were going forward, and then during this slight period when Saturn went into retrograde, immediately went backwards. Because of them turning back, we don't deserve to be let out of this bondage. This is what they're going to say. This is what they're going to say. Even though all of us didn't turn back, many of us continue to move forward and continue to do so. They will try to use those who have turned back and those who have turned against us, because that's what they will do. And so, in my opinion, in my assessment, we have we need to for sure show them that we do not indeed deserve to go backwards, that we have learned our lesson, that we will not use and abuse the angels. And even if it's just us, for our, as the others are still waking, we are willing to lead in righteousness. I'm willing to lead in righteousness, and I'll lead the charge by my absolute self if I have to. I have no problems with that. And I'm only presenting this information for the people who understand it, the ones who have ears to hear and eyes to see, that we are able to harness this and move forward. So, um, so let's talk about the Daniel fast now, and I'll tell you a little bit. So on the last day of prayer, obviously, Levi had mentioned about the Daniel fast, and I was like, well, I've heard of Daniel fast, but it's hard. Like, why do they make it so hard? It's so ridiculous. Like, I don't understand. So, this is the Gentiles version of the Daniel fast, and the reason why I say this, because we're going to actually read what the fast was. We're not going to be influenced by the Gentiles, because for whatever reason, they make things extremely difficult that's not hard at all. And they always make things difficult that's not hard. And it's very frustrating because if you're a person who just like wants to do the will of the Most High, the words are very simple. But when you get your interpretation from the Gentiles, just like in that book, with the angels, he makes it like you got to do all of this stuff just to contact one being. But for real, it's not difficult. And I'm going to do another video on that probably right after this one, since I had both of these things queued up. I'm just going to go ahead and discuss it. So all right, so if you can see here, this is what they tell you that you can eat: fruits, vegetables, liquids, legumes, seeds, nuts, whole grains, and you want to avoid salt, sweeteners, breads, pastas, flours, crackers, energy drinks, coffee, candy, meat, and oils. This is what their version of the Daniel fast is. And to be honest, this is completely, maybe this is for them. Maybe whatever Daniel, they ascribe to said that this is what you should do. But to be honest, this is one of the most ridiculous lists I've ever seen, which is why I never did the Daniel fast, because I understand enzymes, and you cannot get all the enzymes you need from fruits and vegetables. Sometimes you need to get the enzymes from bread, specifically from juices, because of the pulp and whatnot that's in juice, especially fresh made juice, from not meat, but dairy products like yogurt. Like this whole list is so it if you want a Gentile understanding of it, this is the perfect list for you. But we're gonna get it directly from the Bible. So this is the 1611 version of the Bible, and this is Daniel chapter 10, verse 2 and 3. This is the entirety of the fast, okay? Verse 2. And I actually highlighted this time, you guys. I'm getting a little better. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. 3 full weeks. Okay? I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. Okay, that term whole weeks made me think 22 days. And I'm going to explain just a little bit to you about why I came up with the 22 days before I even realized that it was October 22nd, 2022, all these twos everywhere. In this particular book, the Book of Magical Evocations by Bardon, he has it listed that there's 30 angels for each sign. As far as the zodiac wheel is concerned, and the problem with that is that there is no 30th degree. There's no 30th degree. What happens is you get to it starts at 29, and then it ends at 29.9, and then it goes back to 0. So you have degree 0 through degree 29.9. So to say that it's degree 30 is not quite accurate, because if you're trying to actually evoke this angel, you can't evoke the angel at degree 30. But there's also another problem, because technically speaking, from 00, so the angel that comes in at 00, the angel that comes in on his charts does not begin until 1. So you have this whole time period between 29.1 and point 0.9 before you get to 1 degree, that is essentially, I would say, almost uncovered. So this is the understanding that the angels gave to me about that. It's the last shall be first, and the first shall be last. So when you're looking at that chart and it says 30 degrees Aquarius, that particular angel covers from 0. That particular angel comes from 29.1. No, let me make sure I got this right. hold on. Let me just verify this. Let me verify this. Let me ask a question. So the angel at degree 30 covers from 29.1 to point 0.9. That's correct. Okay. So that angel covers from 29.1 to point 0.9. So you can contact that angel at either 29 or 00 because they overlap. The angel for 1 starts from 00 and goes to 1 and covers from 1 to 2, and the angel from 29 starts at 29, covers from 29 to 00, and then you have the angel that's at 00, which is actually the angel at 30. So that angel is the angel that basically bridges the gap. So you know how if you have a manager, right? So let's say that most of the time the manager does not get off at the same time as the next shift starts. They get off like 30 minutes late, so you can do a transfer of shift. And so the angel that's at 30 degrees is the one that does the transfer of shift. They take the information from 29, they make sure there's that there's no miscommunication transitioning from 29 to 1. So they take on that 00 position, but they really cover from 29 all the way through 1, 00. But then you can also contact the angel at 29, and you can also contact the angel starting at 1. But that period from 29.1 to point 0.9 is also where you would find this 30th degree. So that's why, if you look at how he describes it, the 30th degree angel in every single one is the most important one of all of the angels that are described. And when I was reading the book, I was really confused about that because why I said, well, why is it that the last head is the most important? Because that is the one that makes sure that the transition from one sign to the next sign is smooth. And so they have a big job by transferring all the whatever happened in like from Aries into Taurus and making sure that that's a smooth transition. So there are the last and they are also the first. So the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And you will see this principle come up in a lot of things once you start thinking about that whole process of, being the last and also being the first. So technically, you can contact the 30th degree angel at 29 or 00. 00 of the next sign. So when it's in 0, so if you're talking about Aries, um, you can contact that angel at anytime at 29. You can contact that angel at 00 of Taurus because it is the one that is conducting the crossover period. It has a very wide amount of time that it's responsible for, but it does have other angels that overlap it, especially from that, like I said, 29 to 0 and the 0 to 1. Those are both overlap times. So also you notice that the first angel is very important too because they cover from that 00 time all the way through 2. So the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Those are both very, very important positions for the angels in the as far as the earth zones are concerned. So that is how I got a 22-day fast because he said it says 3 full weeks. It says whole weeks. So a week does not end at day 21. The week ends at day 22 because you have to get through day 21 and go into day 22 in order for it to be a complete day. So that's why I said 22 days, just so people could get in their mind the day is not over until you go into the next day. That is when the actual day is over. So in your mind, just do 22 days, then you have that part straight. So I hope that this makes sense. And then okay, one more thing, couple more things. I'm sorry. Daniel was mourning. That is what we also need to do in the time that we do this fast. Our last fast was prayer, supplication, and asking the Most High to turn his face towards us, right? So in this fast, our focus needs to be on mourning our ancestors. They have endured so much. We need to put them to peace. And they are us and we are them, but we need to put them to peace by bringing about that healing. So when you mourn, at the end of your mourning period, you're supposed to be healed. And so that is why we also need to go into this as a sense of mourning. We are mourning the loss of our old lives, our old selves, our old way of thinking, everything that started for us before the core cleanse. We're going to properly mourn the loss of our old lives. 22 days. And at the end of that, we will be birthed into our new life fully and completely, permanently. Because remember, Aquarius is crystallization. Aquarius is crystallization. So it will be crystallized permanently, for all eternity. Which is why, like, one of the things I asked for was for my in my last fast was for my housing to be permanently secured. And at first, everything was fine, right? But then once I did the karma cleanses and I offered myself to help the goddesses of karma in any way that I could, my housing status changed, and therefore I would not be permanently stuck wherever it was I was supposed to go. Now I had more opportunities and options because I wasn't just a taker from the universe. I became a co-creator. When you offer to help the angels in their work, you become a co-creator, and therefore opportunities open up to you that aren't open to those who do not put themselves in co-creator status. And so that's what I recommend to people. Put yourself in co-creator status with the Most High by helping his angels, and therefore you will have more opportunities in what you get to do. Plus you get to learn all the different jobs, and so you can find what interests you, and so on and so forth. People who are worried about the kingdom, that's how you do. Okay, so let's look at verse 3. It says, I ate no pleasant bread. What does pleasant bread mean? This says bread of desires, right? So the message that I got regarding that is that it does not mean do not eat bread, leavened or unleavened. That's not what that means. What it means is sweetened bread. So, and by sweeten, it means like where the ratio of sugar to flour is 1 to 2 or pretty close to that. So no sweetened bread. So no honey buns, no it covered in sugar, no cake, no none of that kind of stuff. Nothing with high ratios of sugar to flour. So if you have sourdough bread, no problem with that. If you have unleavened bread, that has nothing to do with it. It's the fact that the sugar to flour ratio in the bread is high. So you can have bread. I'm going to have bread, let me put it this way, especially sourdough bread, but I will not have any sweet bread. And then it says, nor wine in my mouth. So no wine, that's easy. And so basically, no flesh. So I would say no fish, no meat, no flesh. Okay. And then I did not anoint myself at all. And to me, that means that, or what I'm being told for us, how we would apply that is that um, we should avoid that time taking on any magical or spiritual operations, meaning like contacting the angels during that time, or like any various kinds of experiments during that time. Those should all be paused, so that we can focus on our mourning. Because when, like, for example, I've been doing a lot of experiments, and they do take quite a bit of time and energy, and I don't have time to do anything but experiments right now. So for those 22 days, there should be no experiments. And that's what anointing myself, because you don't anoint myself, you do, um you're really asking the spirits to come and anoint you. So that's what I'm getting for that. So no sweet breads, you know, the pancakes, waffles, no sweet breads, like regular bread, flat bread, any bread that's not overly sweetened, no sweet breads, no flesh, and no wine. That's it. It's a very simple fast. It's still a vegetarian fast, but it says nothing in here about oils. Let's look back at this list. It says nothing about oils. It says nothing about juices, because it just says no sweet breads. It doesn't say no sweet juices. It says nothing about coffee. It says nothing about the gum. It doesn't say anything about that. It just says no sweet breads. It says nothing about dairy products. It says nothing about that. Daniel didn't do any of that. Again, with the Gentiles ascribing stuff to our people that they didn't say. This man says no pleasant bread, so no sweet breads, no flesh, and no wine. That's it. And that's what I'm going to do. And also, because you want the focus here is on the morning. I was mourning 3 full weeks. The focus here is on the morning and the 22 days. That's the primary focus of this fast. It was not the pleasant bread, it was not the flesh, and it was not the wine. It was the 22 days of mourning. And that's what we want to do as Saturn goes direct, so that we are able to properly respect the beings from Saturn and their extremely difficult job that they have to do, and also offer our understanding that we understand how the hierarchy works. We respect the hierarchy, and we're not going to order the Most High around like a dog to do all of our work. And we're going to go to the people who deserve the work. And so when the 23rd comes and we do our black candle or whatever it is, that's the perfect time. We'll already be mourning. We go into the black candle. I mean, I don't. There's no way you couldn't see this stuff lining up unless you just don't have eyes to see or ears to hear. So I've gone on about this too long. I just wanted to make sure I made a little video about this. So I will definitely be doing this, a 22-day fast starting October the 22nd. And it'll be morning supplication, definitely doing uh what is it called, a confession every day, to the Most High, just asking that my sins be forgiven. That's another important part of the morning. And showing that we truly respect the Most High and how he operates. So to the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace, and always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.